Hey y'all, it's Teresa from Stringfield Ridge Farm. I'm working on a couple collaborations. So the first collaboration that I'm working on with someone is Leanne at Mennonite Farmhouse. She is a sweet, sweet, sweet gal that has been doing canning and cooking videos, and she opened up this collaboration to anyone that will be put out obviously today, March 11th. She's had a lot of people that said they would do it. So you should be getting a whole lot of these videos to watch. So the collaboration is five things that you would can again, and 5 things that you would not can again. Do again. I'm just going to go through these and talk about them. I'm not sure how everybody else is going to do their videos, but do again is number 1 is meal in a jar. We have really enjoyed having the meal in a jar. So the meal in a jar is we have put meat, potatoes, carrots, onion, and can that all in 1 quart jar. And that usually is enough for me and Lee to have 1 meal. So we just split that, however much is in there, we split it up and have a meal in a jar. And that has really worked out great for us. We love doing that. I don't have any to show right now, but I am going to be doing that again real soon. And I do love doing the meal in a jar. I usually use beef, like a beef roast, and diced up potatoes, cut in pretty good sized chunks, and carrots and onions. Okay, my second one would be okra for frying. We love fried okra, and when I learned this trick a couple of years ago from Amy at Broussard Homestead, and not going to go over the recipes of all of these too much, but there's my okra in a jar. It is canned in a percentage of vinegar and a percentage of water and salt. And all you do is drain that real good and maybe pat it a little with the paper towel. And then you roll it in your flour or whatever and fry that up. And it works so good. We definitely will do that every year. Next is... we like black-eyed peas and green beans. I didn't bring a green bean in here. I brought a black-eyed pea because some people think that black-eyed peas will get mushy, and I have not had that issue. And we love black-eyed peas. So I just took the dry bag of dried black-eyed peas, and they're so cheap. I think most of the bags I've bought's been $1 or $1.15, and you just, you know, can those like you do dry beans, but I do not soak them. For the peas, I do not soak them. I just rinse them off a little bit, pack them in there, and put some water in it, and we love these. That has been one of our favorites too. Next is also green beans. Green beans, I'm adding that in with the black-eyed peas because we love both. The green beans, I've had a problem with them getting soft after a couple of years. We love them and we eat them a lot. So I've learned not to can too many of them and have them left over for very many years. But they'll be good for like 2 years. And then about the 3rd year, they're getting pretty soft and we don't like them as well. So that's been a problem. But I would do them again in a... keep it at a smaller quantity that I know we'll use in a year or 2. Also, my cat's playing with toy. Bear with me. My cat's over here playing with toys. Diced pickles. We always do pickles. I do my mom's recipe. My mom had an awesome recipe for pickles, dill pickles. And I do that about every other year because we don't eat them a whole lot, but the grandkids do. So when the grandkids have run out of them, I'll make another batch. But we don't eat them a whole lot. I loved them as a kid, but I'm not Just don't eat a lot of dill pickles anymore. But what I do love to do is take that same recipe, but dice the cucumbers up and can it. And I have diced pickles with the same recipe. And then I can use those in tuna salad, chicken salad, pasta salad, egg salad, whatever. So I go ahead and dice them up just so that, I mean, you could take your pickles and dice them up afterwards, but I really have liked having these ready to go. So I have diced up my cucumbers and then followed this recipe for dill pickles. And then when I get ready to use them, I can just dip them out, throw them in, and not worry about chopping them up. So I have enjoyed doing that. I've enjoyed having those ready. Okay, and my last one is dog food. I have taken bad meats, not bad meats, end pieces and bad cuts and fatty pieces and, you know, gristle, whatever. The bad cuts of the meat or the leftover cuts of the meat, and take some rice and maybe green beans or whatever you have. I have used some of those older green beans in it to get rid of some of those green beans that were several years old and were getting really soft. So I used the green beans and the rice and offcuts of meat, or even meat that's on sale in the sale bin at the store, and made jars of dog food. And then I take that dog food and mix it in with some cheap dry dog food. And I don't mind giving my dogs cheap dog food. Sorry, but I don't. And so we can buy cheaper dog food that way and mix some of this in with it, and they will eat it. And that also gives them the meat and the rice and the green beans, helps us get rid of those green beans. And so we've enjoyed doing that and having that on hand. I do have a video where I've done some of the dog food, so I'm going to post that at the end of this and in the description, so you can see that video where I've done the dog food, canned dog food. So, and one more last thing, one more last thing. We love having canned meat. I know everybody probably does. We enjoy having the canned meat. It's so simple and easy and ready to go. And it takes sometimes a meat that might have been tough or whatever, tough or fatty or whatever, and you can can that up, and oh my goodness, it's delicious. The last meat I done was this rabbit, and I just cut that off of the bone and put it in there, and it is so good, y'all, so good. We done deer, we done canned deer, and we used a lot of the last end pieces and fatty stuff, like I talked about the dog food, but the last end pieces and stuff that you wouldn't think that you would use on a deer, we canned that, and it's delicious. So definitely meat is one of our favorites too. Now, on the won't do again, here's a couple that I won't do again. I didn't have 5, I have 4 that I won't do again. And one is, obviously, I was told, I didn't listen, spaghetti squash. I tried to put spaghetti squash in with some soup. I like spaghetti squash in my soup, but canning it, there was almost nothing left. You couldn't hardly find any spaghetti squash. It was pretty much deleted. There was little strings in there that you could barely find. So spaghetti squash does not can well. And I knew that. I'd been told that, but I tried it anyway. So some of them say you can cut it in chunks and can it, but I don't like it like that. I like my spaghetti squash. And so now I freeze it. And that works fine. Another one is green tomatoes for frying. Now, I told you about the okra for frying, right? The okra for frying works great. I tried the same thing with some green tomatoes. I sliced the green tomatoes, and people do this. Now, I like them pickled. I have done this pickled, and they are great, and they're good on a hamburger. But doing the green tomatoes, like the okra, but for frying, did not work too well. They were kind of too soft, and when you went to fry them, they fell apart. So that did not work. I still have a couple of jars of it, but I don't know what I'll do with them. I may dump them out. And pickled, like I said, pickled, it's okay. So another one would be rice. I did put rice in the dog food, and for the dogs, that's fine. But it was pretty mushy and didn't, I wouldn't want that necessarily for me to eat. It wouldn't be like rice. It gets stuck together and mushy, and so you wouldn't want that as rice. Now, I would eat it if I needed to. I would eat that can of dog food if I needed to, because that dog food I made had meat, rice, and green beans. And as I say in that video, it looked good enough to eat. It smelled good enough to eat. I knew what ingredients went in it. None of it was anything I wouldn't eat. And even though the rice was mushy and clumped together, it looks edible. I would eat it if I needed to. So, dogs, move over. I'm taking your food. So, anyway, one more thing is, no, there's two more, sorry. Another one is pumpkin. Now, I had heard you don't can pumpkin. It don't work too well. And I don't listen. I always got to try everything. So, a canned pumpkin. One thing, it shrunk down. I really had that in there good, and I tried to pack it in, and it really shrunk. Every jar looks like a half a jar. And I haven't tried eating them yet. I just wasn't too happy with how far it shrunk down. But it may be okay, but I feel like that's a wasted jar. So my butternut squash did not do that. I canned butternut squash, and it done fine. And I have ate some of the butternut squash, and it's delicious. I haven't tried the pumpkin, so I can't say, but I don't like how it shrunk down like that. And the butternut squash did not do that. So, there you go. The one last thing. This is the last thing. The one last thing would be, I don't like canning jelly in pints. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people can jelly in pints. But my problem with that is, I like to do it in jelly jars because we don't eat a whole lot of jelly. And so when I've done pints, it's wasted. It's usually wasted because the jelly sits in there and we just don't eat it up fast enough. And it starts getting runny on top, and I don't know. It just hasn't worked well for us. I don't like jelly in pint jars. I like jelly in the smaller jars so we can eat them up, and and I like to use my pints for everything else. So I will continue to use jelly jars for jelly. So there you go. That's all I have. Watch all these videos, and you might get some hints and tips and maybe something you were thinking about doing. Somebody says, "Oh, I wouldn't do that again," and you get some good information. So there you go. Thank you, Leanne, and thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and watch us on Friday nights at 7 Central Time.